You see, this is why you guys should keep your mouth shut. Like, this is why being a yapper is a problem. You guys need to keep your mouth shut because your parents, they will use it against you. Other people use it against you. And even exams, like online exams, everybody cheated for online exams. Like, it's so dumb. I'm not going to say anything for legal reasons, but like, just so that everybody cheated for online exams. Like, that's just the reality of the matter. I lost them. They didn't die, obviously. The way I said I lost them, it was as if they died. No. Hello guys and welcome back. We are back in our cute little artsy space, and you know what that means? It's time to talk, and it's time to talk a lot. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the topic of today's video. Okay, so basically, I know I've talked on this channel a lot about like my high school and like high school experiences. I know I talked about it in my first video, and I've talked about it in some videos over the weeks. I was going to say over the years, but this channel hasn't been up that long. But yeah, over the weeks I've talked about it. But I thought that I would go a little bit more in depth as to like my high school. Actually, yeah, my high school, like my whole high school experiences, like crazy things that happened while I was in high school, things I personally experienced, things I saw, good times, bad times, and advice at the end. But yeah, I'm just going to basically be talking about my high school experience and what I think you guys could learn from my high school experience. Also, bear in mind, I went to an all-girls high school. So I think I've already told you guys this. I went to an all-girls high school and middle school. Well, not exactly middle. Actually, you know what? I'll explain it later. I'll explain the structure of my school. But basically, I am going to be talking about my high school experiences today. And I hope that you guys learn a thing or two from it, and if you don't, that's fine, because it's just now that I'm also learning stuff from my high school experience, and I'm the one that experienced it. But yeah, I hope you guys really like this video. Comment down below what type of videos you want to see from me, and if you like this type of video, maybe I'll do something similar to this. I'm not really sure, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so this video is going to be very like draw my life-esque. Like, if you guys have watched like the draw my life videos from like big YouTubers, it's gonna be similar to that, except I'm not going to draw anything because I don't know how to draw and I don't know how to do that animation thing. But the way I am going to tell the story is going to be similar to those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm gonna try and make it as quick as possible, because I need to give you guys like an introduction before we get to the actual high school part. So yeah, quick introduction to basically my whole schooling life before we get to the high school parts. Okay, so this video is going to be broken down into 3 parts. The genesis, actually I don't want to call it that. I don't really have a name for it, but like the beginning, basically the beginning of everything, which is basically like pre-high school, like things that led up to my behavior and things that happened to me in high school. So I'm just going to be basically talk about like early primary school, middle school, that place, and then the second part of the video is going to be me actually talking about like high school, like my craziest high school experiences and stuff like that. And then the last part of the video is where I'm going to give the advice, and it's going to be like quick. So like I'm just going to say the advice and we're going to do it like that. But yeah, let's start with the first part of the video, the beginning. Okay, so quick explanation. I live in Nigeria, obviously, and at the moment I live in Lagos. But before I lived in Lagos, I used to live in Port Harcourt, which is another city in a different state, because Lagos is a city state, and then I lived in another state. This is too long. I lived in another city in a different state, right? And the name of that city was Port Harcourt. So I used to live in Port Harcourt in Rivers State, but now I live in Lagos. So I did most of my primary school in that city, right? So in Nigeria, our school system is basically like 633. At least that's how they explained it to us. So it was like 633, which basically means 6 years of primary school, 3 years of junior secondary, which for non-Nigerians would be like middle school, I guess, and then 3, which is 3 years of senior secondary school, which is like high school. So you have 6 years of primary, 3 years of junior, and 3 years of senior. So then that's your school, basically. We're not going to include like kindergarten in this video because like that's not important. But yeah, that was basically the school system. So I did my first 4.5 years of primary school, and obviously like kindergarten and the rest. I did my first 4.5 years of primary school in River State, Port Harcourt, River State, before I moved to Lagos, right? So let's just talk a little bit about my primary school life, like the beginning, schooling, like me just starting school. So basically, I think I was a pretty good student all in all. Like obviously, I never like failed or anything. I don't think I ever failed a class, but like I wasn't like top of the class, but I wasn't bottom. So I was like up above average, like upper level. I was at the higher level. I wasn't the highest, but I was at the higher level, right? Because like I could not stand the idea of not doing well in school. Like I didn't even like school that much. Like I liked school for like my friends, but like I wasn't like a big school person. I liked school because I got to see my friends, but I wasn't like a huge school person. But yeah, I always knew that I wanted to do well in school, regardless of like any circumstances. I always knew I wanted to do well in school, and so that's what I did. So I would get like really high marks, but I wasn't like the highest. So yeah, I guess that's where I from. And when I used to go to school, my school in Port Harcourt and my school here in Lagos, that's my primary school, they are very different. So let's explain first of all how I went from Port Harcourt to Lagos. So I remember I was in my 4th year. Yeah, no, 5th year. I had just finished the first term or semester of my 5th year in primary school, right? And I remember like my dad called like all of my siblings into the room, and he was like, guys, I have some news, like I have something to tell you. And my father doesn't do that often. Like he doesn't do the whole like I need to tell you guys something. So like I was scared. I thought that we had done something wrong. I was like, we are actually going to get in trouble, because like my dad is like, he's fair but he's strict. So like I thought that we had done something completely terrible and we were about to get punished. And so I was scared. But then he called us into the room, and then he told all of us to sit down, and he had a smile on his face. So I was like, why would you be smiling if we did something wrong? So I was confused. And then he now told us that basically he was getting transferred, like from his job. He was getting transferred from Port Harcourt, River State, where we lived, to Lagos, right? And guys, you have to understand the magnitude of what he was saying. Because like when he said that, literally, it was like, you know, in movies where like the female character, like in romance movies, when the female character meets the male character for the first time, and he's like the most beautiful person she's ever met in her life, and like she's just starstruck by him. Lagos was like the hub. It was like the national hub of like everything that happens in Nigeria. Like if there was a concert, a party, literally anything interesting that is going on, most likely it was happening in Lagos. All the biggest actors, actresses lived in Lagos. All the biggest musicians, singers, business people, all of them lived in Lagos. So Lagos was the place to live, right? So me living from in like small town River State, Port Harcourt, like people didn't know River State like that. Like they knew it, but they didn't know it, right? And it was kind of like a quiet state. But Lagos was big and bold and loud and beautiful, and that was what I wanted to be. Like, you know when people say that they're moving to New York or Los Angeles to like pursue bigger dreams and like make the most out of their life? That was what I thought was gonna happen to me when I moved to Lagos. I was like, I'm going to completely change my whole persona, because like I wasn't shy, obviously. Like I'm naturally not a shy person, but like I wanted to branch out more. I wanted to do more things, because there was not that much to do, at least in the place I lived in, River State. So when my dad said we were going to Lagos, I was like, this is my chance to become one of those Lagos teens. And if you guys have seen Lagos teens online,
oh my fucking
guys, I wanted this. Like I wanted this. So I was so excited. I think the rest of my siblings were like, oh, I have to leave my friends, I have to leave my this, I have to leave my, like they were sad that they had to leave their teachers and their friends and everything. But I was looking forward to it. And also, side note, in my school in Port Harcourt, like they used to flog people as punishment. And obviously to non-Nigerians, that's like a bit weird. Like it's a thing, okay? Like they flog for punishment. Like it's something that we've all naturally gotten used to. Like we complain, but we can't really complain, because it's like it's just a thing. So they flog for punishment. Obviously it's not like a big thing. It's like you bring out your hand or something and then they like flog you as punishment, right? I hated that because I didn't like getting flogged. Like obviously, but I was like a kind of a noisemaker. Like I was kind of a troublemaker, not exactly, but kind of a troublemaker. So like I would sometimes get like reported to the teacher for like being noisy or something, or like the teacher would catch me talking when I wasn't meant to be talking, stuff like that, right? And then those kinds of things would earn me punishment, which came in the form of flogging, and I hated that, right? So but I had heard that in Lagos they don't really flog like that. Like they don't really care like that, right? And I was like, yes, like I'm tired of getting flogged. Like let's move to Lagos. I was excited. I was ready to pack up my stuff and go. You guys don't understand. Like I was ready to go. Obviously I was gonna miss my friends, but like I'm the kind of person who looks forward to new experiences. So I was like I was like, I'm gonna miss y'all, but peace, I'm going, bye. So yeah, we packed up our stuff. Long story short, we moved to Lagos. It was a vibe. My dad went first and then we joined him in Lagos, and yeah, it was a vibe. And like my first clue into the fact that my Lagos life, my imagined Lagos life, was not going to be what I expected was when we got to our new home. And like my home in Port Harcourt was like, it was cute. It was like a bungalow. Yeah, it was a bungalow. It was like black and white on the outside, and it was like, it was not like the nicest thing to be home. No, actually my house was nice. What am I saying? My house was very nice, but it was like a bungalow, and I did not like living in a bungalow because I wanted to be in a duplex, because like I don't know, man, something in my brain wanted me to be in a duplex. But like our house in Port Harcourt had like a really nice yard. We had like a backyard and stuff, and we used to like host parties in the yard and stuff like that. So it was really cool. I even wanted to host my sweet 16 there, but then obviously we moved, so I couldn't do that. But then when I came to Lagos, I was figuring that my house was going to be bigger, because like the way my father was explaining the transfer was that, like in my mind I was like, he's going to be earning more money. That's what I thought. I was like, he's going to be earning more money. I don't know if that was the case, because obviously he didn't tell me that, but like I don't know if that was the case. But in my mind it was like, since he's getting transferred to a big place like Lagos, he must be earning more money. So I was expecting that we're going to go to a bigger house. Now the house we moved to wasn't bigger necessarily, but I'm not sure, I believe it was more like expensive, and it was also a duplex. So that was what I was happy about. It was a duplex. It didn't have as much like width, but like it was bigger, and I think it was like the facilities were better. I don't know, but like there were some pros and cons. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine, cool. So I came to primary school in Lagos, and I started from the second term of primary 5. So like I had done my first term in Port Harcourt before we moved to Lagos, so I had 2 terms left in that year of primary 5, right? And if you know anything about moving to a school in the middle of the term and being the new kid in the middle of the term, because it's a different thing if you move and you're the new kid in like the first day of the new year, right? Like if I moved when I was just starting primary 5, then it wouldn't be a problem. But I moved when they had already gone through a 1 term of primary 5, and that's where the issue was, because I didn't know anybody. I literally did not know anybody. I thought that it was gonna be like a breeze. Like I was gonna come in, everybody was gonna be like, oh my god, new girl, let's get to know her, let's find out everything about her, let's be her friend, let's show her where to eat during lunch, let's show her how to butter up the teachers and where to play on the playground and stuff like that. I thought that's what was gonna happen. I was so wrong, guys. Like I was so wrong. Like it's crazy. I came to that class, and literally halfway through the week, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm not staying here. I need to go. I was like, I'm going back to Port Harcourt. You guys can stay here, but I'm going. Because, guys, I didn't have the best year 5 and year 6 experience. But, like, that's a story for another day. Long story short, I came in the middle of the year. So, like, everybody had already formed their cliques, made their friends. Everybody already knew who their teachers were. And, like, everything was already settled. And then I came and I just threw a wrench into everybody's plans, everybody's life. I just came. I just came out of nowhere, and nobody really knew what to do with me. So I was just there, right? So I didn't really have that many friends, and the friends I did have were not actual friends per se. They were just like, they're just fascinated by something new. I don't think they really cared enough to like get to know me like personally. I think they were just fascinated by the fact that I was new. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, that was basically it. So yeah, I didn't have the best year 5 and year 6 experience. This is not like a sub story or anything. I'm just giving you backstory so that you can understand the actual high school experience. So I came in year 5 and then did year 5, entered year 6. At this point I had gotten a good understanding of like the people in my class, maybe made like 1 or 2 friends, but I was definitely not like the most sought after person to be a friend, if you get what I mean, right? So like everybody still already had their friends at this point. So yeah. And to make matters worse, it was in year 6, which was my final year of primary school, that I really started to make more of an effort. I always was making an effort. I'm not saying that I wasn't. I was always making an effort, but like I wasn't making that much of an effort. At least I wasn't making an effort to my full capacity. So it was when I entered year 6 that I was like, okay, because I had a goal. I wanted to be valedictorian. Like I knew that I wanted to be valedictorian. Like I really wanted that. So I was like, okay, I am going to do everything, put in the work, do the extracurriculars, study, do everything. And by the special grace of God, I ended up being valedictorian. And that was not like, it was a happy moment, but it was also kind of weird, because like it got to a point where I was like in class, it was me versus another girl in the class. Like people knew that the two of us were like the top of the class. Do you get? And it was kind of weird because like the girl that I was like competing with, so to speak, we were actually very close. Like we were friends. Like we were it was like a healthy competition. I would get like high marks on this test and she would come in second, and then the next test she would get high marks and then I would come in second, and we would be doing it like that, right? So it was kind of a weird situation. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but it was kind of a weird situation. But yeah, me and the girl are still close, very close friends. But that was basically it, and I ended up being valedictorian, glory be to God. And yeah, that was basically the end of the whole primary school chapter. And then I wrote my exams and I got into my secondary school. We're getting closer to the high school part now, so we're introducing part 2 of this video, junior secondary, which I'm going to call high school part 1, because I don't know, I feel like junior secondary and senior secondary are so related, like they are so close together, that I want to put them together in my mind. So yeah, we're gonna call this high school part 1, but it's actually my junior secondary school experience. Okay, so where do we begin? Junior secondary school, I can't lie, my first year of junior secondary school wasn't the greatest, but my second year was fun. I can't lie. So when I got into the school, first thing, I for some reason went to an all-girls school, for some reason, and it's actually my fault, because let me explain what happened. My older sister was about to enter secondary school. She's a few years older than me, and she was about to enter secondary school. I was still in primary school at this time, and she was about to enter secondary school. And my parents were talking like, oh, which school do you want to go to? And they had heard of this really nice all-girls school, and they asked my sister, okay, do you want to go to an all-girls school? And my sister was like, no way, like ew, like why would I do that? And then in my mind I was like, it cannot be that bad. You are being dramatic. It can actually not be that bad. I was wrong. I regret my decisions, guys. I regret my decisions, because for some reason my parents took me saying I would be fine with it, me saying it wasn't that bad, it couldn't be that bad, as me giving them permission to enroll me in an all-girls school. You see, this is why you guys should keep your mouth shut. Like, this is why being a yapper is a problem. You guys need to keep your mouth shut, because your parents, they will use it against you. Other people will use it against you. You say something and you think it's the end of it, and then tomorrow you're spending 6 years in an all-girls school. That's just basically how it was. So yeah, they enrolled me into an all-girls school, and no matter how much I begged, they didn't take me out. So I spent 6 years, my whole 6 years of secondary school, in that all-girls school. So I got into the school, and my first red flag was the rules, the amount of rules the school had. Literally, orientation, they gave us like it was like a paper, it was like a printed document, and they shared it to our whole year. It was like a printed document, and they shared it to everybody, and they literally had a teacher read out all of their rules and stuff like that. And some of the rules were so dumb. Like, I talked about the dumb rules in my first video, so you guys should go and watch that. I think I'll link it somewhere on the screen. But yeah, some of the rules were just like so stupid. So I was like, in my mind I was like, okay, these are just rules they have in the rule book, but they don't actually enforce. Like, I thought it was just one of those things, you know how they say like no running in the halls, or people still run in the halls, like, you know, those kinds of things. I was like, oh, these are just rules that they have, but they are not actually enforced. Like, I thought that was how it was going to be, and I was dead wrong. I was actually dead wrong. They are so serious about this, guys. Like, it's actually not even funny. They are so serious. At least in junior school, they are so serious about it. So yeah, first year of junior secondary school wasn't really that eventful. Nothing much really happened. I think I did not make as many friends as I would have liked to make, or as many close friends as I would have liked to make. I think I had about 2 friends going out of my first year of junior secondary. I think I had about 2 close friends, and to this day I'm very appreciative of those 2 close friends, because they got me through my first year in an all-girls school. And so yeah, that was a very nice experience. But yeah, first year goes by, that's the end of that. Second year, in first year I got my period for the first time. Just remember that. So yeah, second year rolls by, and I think this was the most eventful part of junior secondary. Like, I think it was the most interesting part, because I think that's when you really get to know your classmates, like who they are, like what they stand for, what they believe in, like what their family is like, what their home situation is like, what subjects they like, like basically you get into their heads in the second year of junior school. And I know this may seem like an exaggeration, but it's not. So junior secondary school, it was fine, it was okay, but that's when the clique started. Like, they it's like a virus. It's like a virus. Like, it starts in one person, like when the pandemic I don't want to talk about it, but I'm gonna talk about it. When the pandemic started, and like maybe like one person in your school coughed, and like the next day they were sneezing and they had a red nose, and then in 2 days your whole year had like coughs and they were having chest problems, and then people had to go home and everything was shut down. Like, it happened so quickly. Like, I literally woke up one day and everybody had their groups. Like, everybody knew who was friends with who. Like, this person, you were sure that if you saw this person, you're going to see this person with them, and if you saw this person, these 5 people were going to be with this person, and everybody had their lane. Like, there was literally, the status quo was set, right? It was set, and that was it. And I was still with my 2 people. I was like, okay, cool, it's just looking like I'm not going to have a big group of friends. Fine, that's all well and good. I was like, cool, I'm fine with my 2 people. That is great. So yeah, second year of junior secondary school, which in this case is middle school, was okay. I think our teachers were becoming a bit more uptight in this year. I don't want to use the word uptight, but they were becoming a bit more uptight in this year. Like, I remember, oh my god, guys, I remember that. I remember what I said about myself being like a noisemaker and like talking a lot, like talking when I'm not meant to talk and stuff like that. Guys, literally, this school, the way they worked was like, sometimes teachers would go out, like in the morning we had like a study period. So like, you were just meant to study, and it was usually between like 8 to 8:30 or something like that, and you were just meant to study. That's basically what it was. Obviously not everybody was gonna study, but like, the intent was for us to study. And I remember that a lot of teachers, they used to have like their monthly or weekly meetings or whatever in their departments. So they would have meetings and stuff and talk about like school stuff, right? Or they would just go to their office and chill. Like, they did different things. So I remember that my teacher at the time, like my class teacher, because like the way it works was like there was a class teacher for each class, and then they were like subject teachers who taught actual subjects. So like in a year, like, okay, how do I explain this? So let's say my class was junior secondary year 2, so that's JS2, and in JS2 there would be 4 branches, because our set was like big, our year was large, so there were like 100 plus people in our set. I think there were like 110 people in our year. So there were 4 junior secondary 2 classes, so there were 4 JS2 classes, and they were all JS2, but there was like A, B, C, and D. So JS2 A, B, C, and D. So that's how it was. So I think I was in B, like JS2B, I'm not sure, but like, yeah. So each class, each wing of JS2 had a class teacher, which their job was basically like to keep the class in line, to make sure that nothing was going awry, to make sure that they were organized and where they needed to be at each point in time. So yeah, and there was a teacher and there was an assistant teacher, and then you had like your subject teachers who taught like science, math, English, all those other subjects, right? So my class teacher and assistant were the ones who were meant to be there when it was the morning study period, right? And I remember that literally every single day, without fail, like it was like for like 2 months, literally every single day without fail. I remember that I would come for my study period. Like I would come and we would be sitting down having the study period, and then my teacher would go out and do something. As if my teachers would go out and do something, and then they would tell somebody in the class, usually our class captain or class prefect or whatever, to write a list of people who made noise, or people who got up from their seats when they were not supposed to, or people who went to other classes. So like we were basically just meant to sit down and be quiet. We were just meant to sit down and be quiet. We were not meant to do anything, right? But that's not how I work. So I was talking, I was walking up and down, I was doing different things. Like I was talking to people, I was playing games, I was doing different things because I was bored and I have a short attention span. So yeah, every day without fail, my name would enter that list. And things I would even beg. It was so disgusting. I regret myself at that age. I would literally beg. Like I would go to the class captain, I would beg. I would literally be like, please do not write my name. Like there were times when I actually actively made an effort to not talk. But then like somehow, some way, my name would just enter. I think I became like, I think I got like a reputation. Because like even when I did not even talk like at all, somehow my name would enter inside the thing, and it was so annoying. Like, oh my god. So at the point I just gave up. I was like, I'm gonna talk regardless, and my name is going to enter this thing regardless. So I was like, fine. But the catch is, if your name enters the list, your teacher makes you clean the hallways. Like I'm talking mop, sweep, wash the toilet. Like I'm talking actually clean. You know the thing that the cleaners in your school do? Yeah, we had to do that. And you would do it just before first period was started. So you had to finish doing the work before your first period. And if you came to your first period late, you knew that you were getting a punishment. So basically, you had to figure out how you were going to do it. Now, these times were bittersweet because like I hated like the cleaning aspect, especially if they told me to wash the toilet because ew. But it was actually kind of fun. Like I remember there was a time that they told us to like sweep the park, like the parking spaces outside the school. Like they told us to go outside and sweep because like the leaves had fallen and stuff. So we were literally outside sweeping the cars as people were coming to drop off their kids at school. And it was so funny because we couldn't help but laugh. Like it was so funny. Like, you know when there's like collective suffering, like there's a camaraderie in that kind of thing. So yeah, it was bittersweet, but yeah, we got through it. Just 2 was a vibe. I remember there were like a good amount of like parties and like sports competitions and stuff. Like it was cute. So just 2 was cool. Just 3 was where things started to get pretty serious because like at that point, I'm not really going to go too in depth into it, but in just 3, like as I was entering just 3, I remember those 2 friends, those 2 amazing friends that I thought I was gonna have forever for the rest of my life. I was like, these are my 2 people, these are my day ones. Yeah, I lost those 2 friends. I lost them. They didn't die, obviously. The way I said I lost them, it was as if they died. No, one of them moved to another school because she got fed up with the all-girls school life, and her mother was actually willing to take her out. So yeah, lucky her. Love that girl. I still love her. But yeah, and the other one she kind of got in with the popular crowd, and I'm not a popular person. Like people know me, but I'm not a popular person. So I was never part of the popular crowd, but she wanted to be part of them so bad. So yeah, a lot of things went down, like things were said, but at the end of the day, we stopped being friends. I stopped being friends with one of them, and the other one moved to a different school. So yeah, I entered JS3 basically not really having any friends, and that was that. Also, side note, I didn't have a phone like throughout my secondary school. I didn't have a phone. So like, you know how you guys like come to school and like you have your phones and like you talk to your friends on like WhatsApp or Instagram or stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't have a phone. Granted, I had an iPad. I know this is going to sound so privileged. Like I already know, I can already hear what people are going to say. I know this sounds so privileged, but like my parents were like the traditional type, so like they didn't want me to have like a phone at such a young age. So then they compromised and like they got us like iPads when we were like 10. So we had iPads. So I had an iPad, but I didn't have a phone. So I didn't have like a number, so I couldn't have like WhatsApp. And at the time, WhatsApp was like the thing, like that was what people used. So like Snapchat was like, it was just there, but it wasn't really used like that. I know people were really into WhatsApp, so that was basically it. So I used to talk to people on like iMessage or like Snapchat sometimes if it was possible. But yeah, that's just basically it. So I didn't have a phone. So like literally when we would bring our phones to school, because like my school didn't allow us to bring our phones to school, like bring them to school like regular, like you know how like in Western schools, like you guys can bring your phones and stuff. You just have to like not use it during class or stuff like that. Yeah, my school, we're not allowed to bring our phones at all, and if you brought your phone, it would get seized and you wouldn't get it back until like the end of the year, or until you paid like, I think it was like 15k, I'm not sure, but yeah, we were not allowed to bring our phones. People still brought their phones and like they hid it, but yeah, that's that. So when we were allowed to bring our phones, it was like sports days, or like if the school was hosting a party or something like that, open house, stuff like that, we were allowed to bring our phones. And obviously I would bring my iPad, so didn't have a phone, had to lug my big ass iPad to school. But yeah, that was that. So entering JS3, didn't really have any friends, and then I got seated at the front of the class, and I think that was my first time being seated at the front of the class, like from the beginning of the school year, because I remember that like in the first year and the second year of junior secondary, I was like not at the back, but I was kind of like in the middle, so like I was never really at the front, but like I got seated in the front of the class this time. So yeah, that was interesting. Like I didn't hate it, like, because I'm the kind of person who likes to ask questions in class, so I didn't really hate being sitting in the front. And it was by sitting in the front that I actually made my next two or three friends. Actually, it was like if I met like 2 friends, and then I met like a friend of a friend, so we were like 4 friends. So yeah, that was it. So I made new friends, thank God, in JS3. So yeah, that was interesting. It was a vibe. But yeah, I think the most eventful things that happened in JS3, oh my god, my teacher, oh my god, my teacher, I'm not gonna mention which teacher this is, but one of my teachers here, she's a computer teacher, right? And like she was not like the most liked teacher in the school. Like I didn't hate her, but like she wasn't like the most liked teacher in the school, right? I remember when I was in my other classes, like when I was in first year and second year of junior secondary school, I had this thing where like I would always eat in class. Like if I had a snack or like something, like I would always eat in class. That's just basically it. Like I always had to eat in class. I don't know why I did that. Like I think it was actually a problem, but like I just used to like eating in class because like I don't know, I guess it kept me awake. I honestly don't know what the mentality of it was, but like I used to eat in class. But obviously in my school you were not allowed to eat during classes. Like you could only eat during like short breaks or like actual break or after school. So we're not allowed to eat or drink anything in classes unless it was like water or something, right? So I used to eat in class, and the way I would eat in class was because since I wasn't sitting at the front was where they would catch most people eating at the class. You know, the back of the class people, they usually are able to eat without being caught. So I would sit somewhere in the middle, and I would kind of like finesse and maneuver my way into being able to eat my food in class. So like, and I never got caught. Like I actually never got caught until JS3. This particular teacher, I don't even know what happened. I was literally eating in class, and at this point, literally everybody in my class knew that I was gonna eat in the morning. Like they knew that I was gonna eat my snacks during my study period or like in the morning. They just knew. So like everybody expected it at this point. But like my teachers did not know that that's something that I used to do because I never got caught. But this particular teacher, I remember I was literally eating my snack. She walked into the class. I was facing the other direction. She walked into the class. The class went silent. I turned my head. This woman was standing, hands on hips, looking at me. And she was short, by the way. She was very short. I remember that she was a short teacher. She was standing, hands on hips, looking at me like, I cannot believe you did that. Like she just stared at me. And then I literally put, like it happened in slow motion. I literally put this snack, I think it was biscuits I was eating. I literally put it under my desk and sat down with my hands clasped like this. And I vividly remember her reaching into the desk, like the locker under my desk, and she took that thing and she was heading for the trash. I was begging. I was literally begging. Like guys, this may not seem like a big deal, but I was begging because I was like, no, like, because I didn't eat breakfast that day. I eat breakfast most days, but I didn't eat breakfast that day, and that snack was the only thing that was keeping me through. Like I knew I was gonna fall asleep if I didn't eat this snack. So I was like, can you just, I was begging her. She gave me like a big lecture about like eating in class and like how she could like report me and make me have like a suspension or whatever, talking a bunch of stuff like that. But she ended up giving me back the snack, praise God. But yeah, I think that was the most eventful thing that happened in the class. And then the other eventful thing was me almost getting, actually not almost, I literally got framed for cheating. It was so stupid. I got framed for cheating. It was a classwork, I believe. yeah, it was a classwork or something. Like we had like an exercise to do, and I was doing it, and then the teacher like left, right? Bear in mind, this teacher, everybody hated this teacher. Like literally everybody and their mom hated this teacher. Like I don't know what is wrong with that woman, but like people did not like her at all. So we're writing her exercise. We're doing her exercise, and she was actually subbing this class for another teacher in her department. So we're doing it. We're writing the exercise and stuff, and then like literally people. I think people behind me were like trying to cheat. But like obviously I wasn't cheating because I'm a good girl. But like I wasn't cheating, and I was just doing my exercise, minding my business. And then I see a book literally fly across the floor, right like there, like in front of my feet. Like I looked down and it's in front of my feet, and it was the textbook. And that textbook has the things that the exercise was on. So that is cheating. Like that's actually cheating. And conveniently, somehow, the teacher walked back in right when that textbook was under my. I was literally not cheating. I didn't have any plan of cheating. Somebody slid the book. Somebody that was cheating slid the book somewhere. I think they wanted to like throw it to the cabinet or something, and it slid and literally landed right underneath my desk. This woman came in and deducted 5 points from my mark. This class was over 10, mind you. I already was not sure if I was going to get everything, and she was deducting 5 marks. I was like, bro, what? And I literally looked around, and I looked at the class, and I was like, what? Like, what the hell is going on? And she just deducted the 5 marks. No shaking. She did not care. She did not care. She was ready to, in fact, I think she was ready to deduct more, if not for the fact that I was begging her. She deducted 5 marks, and that was it. She just deducted the 5 marks, and I was crying. Guys, this is the first time that I've ever been framed for cheating in my life, and had like marks actually deducted from me from my work. So I was crying. I was like, what? Why would you deduct? Like I was trying to explain to her. The woman was not having it. She thought I was lying. So I was like, oh my days. Like I was so pissed. And then I found out later on that the woman did not record the classwork. So I was like, okay, no skin off my back. I'm fine. But yeah, that was basically it. So junior secondary school done. Like it was not very eventful. I think the most interesting things happened in senior secondary, and that's where we're getting to. Okay, now for the interesting parts. The real, like, this is where everything happens. This is where everything goes down. So, I am entering SS1, Senior Secondary School 1, which everybody can collectively call high school, the actual high school. So, the first thing you need to know is that I was in JS3 when I was in junior secondary. We were all like as a year, like they gave us a what's it called? They gave us an aptitude test. Yes, they gave us an aptitude test to kind of gauge which stream of education we should go into. So like it was basically kind of like to tell you whether you should be a science, art, or commercial student. Because the way things work in Nigerian high schools is like when you're about to enter high school, you have to like pick between 3 broad disciplines. So like there's science, which is basically your bio, your chem, physics, maths, further maths, stuff like that. Then there's arts, which is like history, government, literature, stuff like that. And then there's commercial, which is like commerce, financial accounting, stuff like that. So yeah, you have to pick from the 3. And I was like a big basic science lover. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to be a science person. And at that time, I wanted to be a doctor. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go to science. And then I did my aptitude test. And my result was, should do arts, can do well in science. That's literally what the comment was. And I was like, there is no damn way any test is telling me what I should do. I'm going to science. To this day, I don't know whether I should have been an art student. I guess we're going to find out. But yeah, I went into high school as a science student. So I was like, bio, chem, physics, further math, I'm going to deal with you. Like in my mind, I fully believed that I was going to kick physics ass. I was wrong, but okay. Let's move. So yeah, senior secondary, it was calm, it was a vibe. At this point, like a lot of my classmates had left or traveled abroad or gone to different places. So like our year was significantly cut in half in terms of like numbers. So if we were like 110 when we started, now we were about like 70. I think it was like 80 or 70 something. I'm not sure. Maybe not in half, but we still had significantly reduced. So we were like 80 or 70 something at this point. But yeah, so we were in our classes, everything was cool. And being a science student, the way things work is like the the classes, remember how I described like A, B, C, and D for like each year? So like obviously SS1, A, B, C, and D. So the way the school structures it is that like if you're in A, then A is like for art students, and then B is for commercial students, and then C is for science students, and then D is like a mix of all three. Do you get what I mean? So like they put the classes according to what discipline you chose, so that like scheduling is easy, because like art students don't have the same classes as science students, don't have the same classes as commercial students, or stuff like that. So I was put in a class with the science students, obviously, but the thing was, my friends that I had made in JS3 were not science students. I didn't have any science students friends, like actual friends. I had like people I talked to, but like actual friends who I would like go to lunch with were not science students. So like majority of my friends were in like the art class, and I had like one or two in the commercial class. So like I was the only one in my friend group in science, and that was very difficult, guys. Like I can't lie, because I remember like there would be like stuff like inside jokes or stuff that happened with teachers, and like I wouldn't get them because I wasn't in that class, or like they would have a free period and I wouldn't because I was in science. And then like it was so weird, like it was so annoying and weird at the same time. But thank God for the fact that my friends were the type to like actually make an effort to stay friends, despite the fact that like we were not in the same class. So like I remember that free periods, bathroom breaks, in the morning, study period, lunch, after school, we literally found any time to see each other, and that was what made it easier for me to be the only science person. Because I can tell you for a fact that if I felt like I was drawing away from my friends, the Fechi of SS1 time, like that's 14-year-old Fechi, literally would have switched. She would have changed to art or commercial or something, just to be closer to her friends. And I didn't want to do that. Like I wanted to actually stick with the decision I had made, regardless of the fact that most of my friends were not in that class. Plus I actually enjoyed science, so I did not really want to like move yet. I wanted to fill out the science class, right? But yeah, so I think the most challenging thing about SS1 was the fact that like the pandemic got really intense at this point in time. Like when I was in JS3, it was like towards the end that we actually found out that like the pandemic was a thing. So like, but SS1, that was when like we started doing like lockdown, and everything was happening. Like everything was happening so fast. We were doing lockdown, we're having online classes, so stuff like that. And we hadn't really gotten into the groove of being in high school because we were online. So like I remember like further math, for example, because I did further math, because like they made it compulsory for us in SS1. And if you don't know what further math is, it's like math, but like 10,000 times more difficult. So yeah, I did further math, and like further math, I think besides physics, further math was like the most difficult subject for me, because I was like a biochem person, and further math and physics were just rubbish. Like they were just rubbish. Like the fact of the matter is that they were trash. Further math and physics are trash. So yeah, I think the biggest issue was the fact that we're online. So like I didn't go for classes at a point, like at all. Like literally I would have a 7 a.m. class scheduled online, and I just wouldn't attend. Or I would go for like 2 minutes and then I would leave. Or I would go and I would tell my friends to take notes for me. I would tell my friends to take notes for me, and then I would sleep. And then I would like wake up later on to like get the notes sent to me, and then that's what I would read for my exams. And even exams, like online exams, everybody cheated for online exams. Like it's so dumb. I'm not going to say anything for legal reasons, but like just know that everybody cheated for online exams. Like that's just the reality of the matter. But yeah, being in online school was it made it very easy to be an unserious student. Like that's the fact of the matter. It made it very easy for me, especially, to be an unserious student, because I remember that in SS1 my grades really dropped, because like my school does this thing called honor roll. Like the best students get on the honor roll, and I remember that there was a time that I was like, if I was like 17th on the honor roll in like JS3, I remember that I dropped to like 27th or like 30th, and I was like, there is no way I'm having that. So immediately, like, they started bringing us back to regular school. I started to try and be on my grind, even though further math was still kicking my butt, guys. Further math was terrible. If you want to be a science student, think very clearly before you decide you're going to do further math. Think very well. I'm serious. Think very well, because if you commit to that further math and you don't get out fast enough, guys, you will literally have no motivation to go to school. You will literally have no motivation to go to school. So yeah, I remember specifically there was a time, there was this further math exam, and they literally gave all the science students, so there was a further math exam, and we all sat down for it. I think it was an open book exam at that. So like we all thought that it was gonna be easy. Guys, I got 5. Yeah, that's what I got. You guys don't need to know the rest, but yeah, that's what I got. So further math was terrible, and that's the reason why I dropped it when I was entering my second year of high school. But yeah, high school was chill, it was calm, it was okay. Let's just move quickly to SS2, which is where a lot of stuff happens. Okay, second year of senior secondary. This is where, remember in SS1 when I told you that I had 3 other friends? Like I got 3 extra friends when I was in GS3, and those were the 3 extra friends I had when I was in SS1. Yeah, so one of those friends left the school, and then another a different friend was added. So now we were still 4, but just a different, like just different people in the 4. So it was me and then like 3 other people, but one of the people from before had left and a new person had joined, if you get what I mean. I hope you understand. But yeah, we were still 4 at this time, and we still had the whole arts, commercial, science debacle. But at this point we had learned how to navigate being friends while being in separate classes, so it was pretty easy for us. But yeah, SS2. So this, in my school, the way SS2 works, SS2 is like, it's like the class of all classes. Like I think everybody waits to get into SS2. Like SS3 is good. Like SS3 obviously is like it's like the highest class. You're like the oldest in the school. You're like, you have the most seniority and you're preparing to go. But SS2 is the class where people do stuff. Like that's the class where everything goes down. One of the things that I think was very crazy about my second year of high school was that there was a period in time here where my our seniors, right? I'm not sure if this happened in SS2 or SS1, but I'm gonna say it happened in SS2. There was a period in time where our seniors, that's the people directly above us, were not allowing us to use the bathroom in their bathroom. Do you get what I mean? Like, okay, let me explain. So the school was divided into parts, right? And I was in SS2, and the SS2 side was on the same side as where the SS3s stay. So like SS2s and SS3s stay in the same half of the school. Then JS1s and JS2s stay in the same half, and then JS3 is kind of split between the two, right? So I remember that I was, I think, in either JS3, SS1 or SS2, one of the 3, sorry. And I was walking to the bathroom one day, which was on the senior side of the school. I was walking to the bathroom, and then, okay, yeah, I remember this happening when I was in JS3, sorry. I was walking to the bathroom, right? And then I got stopped by one of the seniors, and they were like, you need to go back. You need to go back to the other side of the school. You need to go back. They wanted me to walk to the junior side of the school. And my school is not a small school, so like that would have been a walk. It would have been a very long walk. I was like, this is why would I go back there? Like, this is closer. But they were adamant. They were like, no, we're not going to let you guys pass. Like, what kind of this thing is this? You guys cannot proceed. Apparently, the seniors were tired of junior students walking to their side to like use the bathroom. They didn't want them loitering in front of their class, which in my opinion is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because like, what's actually your business? Like, it's so disgusting. Like, you did not have to do all that, right? And then I remember my class got so fed up with the whole thing that the seniors were doing, because it was so stupid. Like, our teachers did not do anything about it. Like, they were just like, oh, they are your seniors, so whatever they say goes. That's basically what it was. And I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense, because why would we be walking all the way there just to use the bathroom? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I remember some of my classmates got together and literally held like a mini protest during lunch to protest the fact that when being not allowed to use the bathroom there. And the teachers noticed. I think they were upset, but like, I don't think they really punished the people. Like, they punished them, but like not really. But like, yeah, I think my set in particular, we just got fed up with the whole rule, and we started using the bathroom however we wanted, because like that was such a dumb rule. But like, yeah, that was really weird. I don't really understand why exactly that happened. But yeah, if you're a senior, don't make stupid rules for your juniors. Like, don't make life difficult for them. Like, you were a junior once. Like, stop. It's not funny. Okay, on to one of the most eventful things that happened in SS2. I know I've been talking about SS2 a lot, but like, this was the year of years. Like, SS3, not that much happened, but like SS2 was where it was at. And one of the most interesting things that happened while I was in SS2 was the field trip. So there was a field trip that all the past SS2s had gone to. It was like okay, it's gonna sound weird, but it was like a slave trade slave trade field trip to this place called Badagry in Nigeria, like in Lagos. Well, it's not in Lagos, it's like on the outskirts. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, it was basically like an educational field trip to see like slave relics and like learn more about the slave trade and stuff like that. So there was like a museum, and there was like exhibits and stuff like that to learn more about the slave trade, right? And I remember this being a field trip for specifically history students, and I didn't do history, but like I remember the teachers found out like a lot of the students who were not history students also wanted to go, so they just opened it up to everybody. And yeah, I ended up going, and I had never been on like an actual field trip, like you get in the bus and you go to the place. I had never been like in an actual school field trip. I don't really know why. I think the ones I had gone to had been to orphanages, but this one had never been like, I had never been in like an actual school field trip. So I was excited. Like I remember it was gonna happen at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Like we were meant to come like really, really early. And there were rumors that like we were gonna come back at 2 a.m. in the morning, because like the place was far. When I tell you far, and one thing people don't tell you about moving to Lagos is that the traffic is terrible. The traffic congestion is bad. Like it's really bad. Like nothing happens in Lagos without traffic being involved. Like it's so sad, because you can literally be going from here to like the nearest corner shop or supermarket, and you will face at least 30 minutes worth of traffic, and that's on a good day. So Lagos is traffic galore. And I remember that day the place we were going to was like a drive, so they told us to come like 6 a.m 6:37 for the trip. And like we had never been in school at like that early in the morning. Well, like we had, but then we also hadn't, because people come early for school all the time. But like this trip was specifically for SS2, so like nobody else was in the school. The school was completely quiet, apart from like maybe 3 teachers. The school was completely quiet, and we were in school upstairs like dead of the morning. Like, so it was still dark out, and there were only like 3 teachers in school, and then just the SS2s in a class, and it was vibes. I remember like we were like playing games, we were like playing like paranoia, we were playing truth or dare, we were playing like typical things that happen in like all girls schools if you've been to them. But yeah, we were just playing games, having fun, doing nice things. And also our teachers allowed us to bring our devices, so like phones, iPads, stuff like that. So we're all with like our devices and stuff like that. And my school's Wi-Fi is not free exactly, but like some seniors know the password. Over the years, seniors have found out the password and passed it on to their juniors, which thank you so much. But yeah, so we were kind of like using the school's Wi-Fi without their knowledge. But yeah, so yeah, we all got to school really, really early, and then it was time to leave for the trip. And I remember specifically that this trip made me 3 new friends. Like it made me 3 new friends, because it was such a good trip. Like I remember we went there, we spent so much time in traffic, and sitting in a bus filled with people of your age group having things to talk about is so nice. You guys should actually try it, because like we were just sitting in traffic, and like we were laughing about things that were happening on the road, and we were telling stories, and we were mimicking our teachers. Like it was the funniest thing ever. Like it was just such a good experience. And then we got to the slave trade place, the museum place, and we looked around, saw a bunch of stuff, learned a bunch of stuff. I think our teachers got us ice cream or something. I don't remember what it was, but they got us like some kind of food or something, and then we all like ate in the bus. And I remember that because of the direction, like the place that we're going to, we were gonna pass the border to a different country. So I think we were going to go to Benin, which is like close to Nigeria. So we're like crossing the border to another country. So like once we crossed that border and got into another country, we're literally like at the border to that country, and we were literally buying like souvenirs and stuff, like, oh, I went to Benin, like. And then when we got home, we told our parents that we went to another country. We just crossed the border and went back. But it was really funny. So yeah, I remember I made 3 extra friends in that trip, and it was like, I think that was the most unforgettable thing that happened in my entire high school experience. If you're ever given the opportunity to go on a field trip, do, like, guys, go for it. Like whether it's within the country or outside the country, just go. Even if you don't think you're not going to like it, just go. Like you will learn so much, and you will experience your classmates in a way that you've never experienced them before. That's just what I can say. So yeah, that field trip solidified 3 extra friends for me, and now my group of 4 became a group of 7. And guys, those were the friends that I had from SS2 till SS3 and till leaving secondary school, and now I still have them. So yeah, the friends you make in junior school, they are most likely not going to be your same friends in senior school. Because look, I had started with 2 friends and now I literally had 7. Because so like it was like it was so crazy. Okay, so one thing I remember that became very apparent in like senior secondary, that SS1 SS2 period, was that my year we started getting bold. Like we started getting very daring, especially when it comes to those rules that I talked about in the beginning. So first things first, my school has like a sister, well, not a sister school, more like a brother school that was like made from a similar organization to my school. So like when people think of my school, they almost immediately think about this other school, and this other school is an all-boys school. Now you would think that my school and that school would have like some interactions, like maybe you would see each other at like events or stuff like that, or like they would invite us to like their events or stuff like that, but that never really happened. And when I was entering the school, I thought that that was going to happen because a lot of people that I knew had interactions with people from this other school, and they were almost like brothers and sisters basically. So, but we never actually had any interactions with them. In fact, I would go as far as to say that my school, like the officials of my school, the authority, disliked the authority of the other school. Like I don't think they were like, I think they were in enmity like a lot. But the funny part was that any person that went to my school, 9 times out of 10, they had a sibling, a cousin, a brother, a family friend that attended that school. And so because of this whole situation, it was very hard for somebody from my school to avoid having at least one interaction with somebody from our brother's school, at least throughout their whole 6 years of school. But the thing was, my school was adamant. I mean, they tried their very hardest to make sure that the girls in my school had limited, 0 to none interaction with the male gender. And guys, I don't know what they thought they were doing. Like, I don't know what they actually thought they were doing, because it is actually inevitable. Like, I don't know whether they thought they were achieving something, but like, it was gonna happen either way. And it ended up happening in SS1, SS2, SS3. Like, when we got to senior school, that's when we became bold, and you would see people doing certain stuff. And if you're a teenager, you know the stuff I'm talking about, with people from that other school, our brother school, which is an all-boys school, right? So yeah, that whole thing was just kind of weird, because like you would be walking, let's say the school had an event, you'd be walking around, and then you just catch 2 people doing something somewhere hidden behind like the back of the school, doing God knows what. And my school became so strict because of that. I remember that they really like made it their mission to make sure that nothing like that happened with our said. So yeah, it is what it is. Another thing that was really like rampant when I was in senior secondary was like not attending mass. Now I know that sounds bad, but let me explain. So my school was like a Catholic school. Although they would claim that they are not a Catholic school, they were a Catholic school. And they had like compulsory mass, and mass is basically like it's like a church service that you go for when you like as a Catholic person. It's basically just a church service for Catholic people, right? I'm not Catholic, but I'm Christian, so like it's the same thing. The church is church. So I would go for the mass when I was in junior secondary. Obviously, as you go higher in classes, your workload becomes more, your school becomes more difficult. Like basically everything just becomes a lot, right? And my school was the type to enforce, like they made sure that every single person, like I think each class had a day when they were meant to attend mass, like, and it was compulsory. And so I remember my school would literally have a teacher. They would assign a teacher to like walk up and down the halls and search for people. Like let's say today is the GS3's turn to go for mass, and then they would literally have a teacher that would like get all the GS3s and march them to the chapel to have mass. And mass, sometimes it was long or it was short depending on what was going on. So like yeah, it is what it is. But I remember that myself, once we got into like SS2, SS3, we were so over the mass thing. Like we were so over it. Like we did not want to go for it. Like it was just a thing, because like we would literally be writing exams. I would literally have a physics exam in the next 20 minutes, and I would be so stressed because I wasn't like the best at physics. So I would be so stressed and I would want to read more. And then some teacher from the math department would come and be like, everybody, it's time to go for math. Everybody gets up and go for math. And I'm like, bro, I'm I'm going to fail this exam. I'm actually going to fail this exam. So like that became a thing. And I remember specifically for my set, we started we started hiding in the bathrooms. Now this is this, I know this sounds weird, just wait. We started hiding in the bathrooms to escape the teachers that would search for people to go for mass. And so it was like, once you knew that okay, it was time to go for mass, we would like carry our notebooks and textbooks and stuff we wanted to read, and we would go to like classrooms that were free, or we would go to the bathroom and we would just lock ourselves inside the stalls and wait it out until the teacher stopped searching. Like that was basically what we did. I don't know what the thought process was, but it worked. Like, I mean, it worked. I mean, we ended up being able to study. So like, a win is a win. To be honest, a win is a win. And the last thing I think was like something that was happening a lot when I was in SS2 was bag checks. No, this didn't happen in SS2. I think it happened in GS3, SS1. I'm not sure. But like, I know that there was a period where my school was like big on bag checks, because one of those stupid rules I talked about was like there were a lot of things that were contraband, and not things that would normally be contraband. I'm talking about things like lip gloss. You couldn't have lip gloss, it was contraband. You couldn't have this, it was contraband. Watches had to be a certain color, and if they weren't a certain color, then it was contraband. Like everything was oh god, it was so annoying. Like everything was contraband. And so then if you wanted to bring something, let's say you had a watch that was like not the color black or brown, if they caught you wearing it, they would literally take it away from you, and before you could get it back, you would have to pay a sum of money or wait until the end of the year. So I remember the thing that I think most people were very adamant about keeping, regardless of the fact that it was contraband, was lip gloss, perfume, and storybooks, like novels. So obviously my school had a library, but our library was very it was very regulated by the school. So like all the books that were there were like all those educational books, you know, all those things you would use for like book reports or like group projects and stuff, like textbooks and stuff like that. So we didn't actually have any like real novels, like novels, right? And so those are the things, like obviously like teenage girls, those are the things that we wanted to read. So like romance books, stuff like that, thriller, crime, mystery, stuff like that. So I remember that there was a time, me personally, I asked one of my classmates for a novel. Like I took it from her the day before, and I took it home and I was reading it, but then I didn't finish reading it, so I brought it to school and I was reading it in the morning during what was meant to be my study period. Now let me break down how these bag checks would work. Like it was actually giving immigration, like it was actually so crazy. So basically they were random. First of all, they were random bag checks, so like you wouldn't know when they were going to happen, they would just happen. And like I said before, the prefects are the ones in charge of a lot of stuff in the school. The SS2 prefects are in charge of a lot of stuff in the school. So what would happen is the teachers would tell the SS2 prefects like the morning of, we're going to have a bag check, but they wouldn't tell the other students, obviously, because that defeats the whole purpose of the random parts. So the prefects would know, and then once it reached time, they would like walk around they would assign themselves to classes and they would check everybody's bag. And because you couldn't really escape it, because like our bags, we all had to keep our bags in like a certain place. It was like a shelf, so we all had to keep our bags in a certain place when we came to school. So the prefects would literally just come and start searching that whole shelf, like that where everybody's bag was. Now the thing is, if you were smart, you knew how to get around this little bag check thing. So what we ended up doing was, I was in say GS3 or SS1, not totally sure, I think I was in SS1, and I remember that I still had this storybook I was telling you about. I still had it, and I still wanted to read it during my study period, which was in the morning. But obviously I couldn't let them take the novel, because like it wasn't mine, first of all, and if they took it, then I would have to replace it. So like I could literally not let them take this thing. So the way it would work was that like they would start from the junior side of the school, so the junior school, that's JS1, 2, and 3. Then they will come to the senior side, SS1, 2, and 3, and that's where they made the mistake. They should have done it all at the same time, because that's where they made the mistake. Because like if they would check bags in JS1 and JS2, the JS1s and JS2s, I kid you not, they would run from their class to the senior side to tell us like, guys, they are doing a bag check, hide your stuff. And then we would basically just broadcast the information to like all the wings of the class, so that everybody would know that, oh, they're going to do a bag check, hide your stuff so that it doesn't get taken, right? So I remember that one of the juniors had come to the front of our class, and she had literally just said, guys, they are doing back checks. And everybody, like, it was like chaos. Everybody started running around hiding their stuff. People that brought their phones had to hide their phones. Like, it was crazy. And I was thinking, how am I gonna hide, where am I gonna put this novel? Because I obviously couldn't put it in my bag, because like they would search that, right? So I decided, I got up, ran with the novel, went to one of the science labs, I think it was the biology lab, and I hid it under, like, I think it was a Bunsen burner or something. I hid it under something. Like, it was one of the desks or something. I hid it inside the lab. And in the morning, the labs are free. Like, nobody is in the lab. So I just hid it under the lab. And then I ran back to my class and sat down. Guys, mine was not even that deep. I know people that would hide, like, lip glosses and perfumes in their uniform. Like, you would see them tucking into their skirts. Or they would, like, sit on it. Or they would hide it in their pencil case on their desk. Like, people were getting innovative about this stuff. So, like, yeah, so they would come around, they would do the back check, and basically that was that, and anything they found would be seized. And I remember, like, countless people got their phones seized. And when I say got their phones seized, I mean my school was not playing. Like, they didn't care what kind of phone you have, they didn't care like how much it would cost. They would take the phone and they would hold the phone, and you wouldn't get the phone back. And that's just how it was. And if you wanted to get the phone back, you would not be tasked with telling your parents that you brought your phone to school when you're not allowed to bring your phone to school. And that's always humiliating. So nobody wanted to do that. So we just all had to figure out how to hide our stuff. And if we couldn't, yeah, that's just, that was sad, can't lie. So yeah, besides the things I talked about, I think the only other thing that was really a big thing in like SS2 was like the tests and exams. Because like things were getting hard, guys. Like, it was dawning on me that I was actually about to leave this school, and it was dawning on me the fact that I actually needed to start taking my life seriously, because like, guys, physics was getting harder, chemistry was getting harder, bio was getting harder, things were getting more difficult. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, it was actually so crazy. And guys, you really underestimate the power of group study sessions until you're in them. Because like, have a good group study session, like have a good group of people that you can study a difficult topic with, because the way information flows is so amazing, and you learn so much more than you would on your own. But yeah, the exams were tough, but like all in all, it was fine. Finally, on to SS3, the big dog, the final lap of the race. SS3 it started off pretty chill, because like this was basically the class that teachers had been telling us about since we got to the school. They were basically telling us that in SS3, that's when you write your external exams, that's when you have the least classes, which was what I was excited about, because like I was tired at this point, guys. Like, I was like, I'm ready to go, guys. Like, I'm over it. But yeah, classes started getting shorter and shorter, and the way things work in my school was like, if you had 13 classes in SS1, you could reduce them to 11 in SS2, and then to like 7 or 8 in SS3. So when I was in SS3, I think I had about 8 subjects, and it was those 8 subjects that I wrote in my WAEC and NECO, which are external exams that you take in Nigeria to like certify that you finished high school, basically. So these exams were like a big deal. Like, they were like the biggest exams that you would write in high school. So like, people were studying for it from day one. People, not meaning me, but like people were studying for it from day one. But yeah, I think that was the most looked forward to thing. Not look forward to, because people didn't look forward to the exams, but yeah, that's the thing that people were expecting the most, the external exams. I remember people started reading for it from the beginning, and we're all so nervous to write the exams, because you guys don't understand, these exams were written at the same time for all secondary schools in the entirety of West Africa. Like, there was one for West Africa, and then there was another exam specifically for Nigeria, and we wrote the both of them. So the one for West Africa, literally every single high school in West Africa took the exam at the exact same time. They all had the same timetable. So it was like, you could be sitting in your physics exam right now, and another person in a different school down the road is sitting in their exam right now, and another person in a different state is sitting in their exam right now. Everybody writes the exam at the exact same time, and then their scripts get taken, they collate the results, and then it comes out like 2-3 months afterwards. But yeah, forget exams. That's not what I was in SS3 for. I was in SS3 for the free time. I was in SS3 for grad parties. I was in SS3 for sweet 16s, and I was in SS3 for prom. Those were the things that SS3 was for. Forget exams. Throw that away. Because like, guys, I was so excited for like grad, because like in my school did grad in a big way. Like, they had send forth, then they had grad, and then if you're lucky, they had prom. You see, the thing with my school is that they didn't really like the concept of prom. They didn't really like the fact that students go to have prom, because like it's an all-girls school, and typically when they have prom, they tend to invite people of the other gender. So yeah, my school didn't like that. They didn't like that. They wanted us to be in our own little bubble of girls. So yeah, but my classmates were not having that. And I remember there was literally a whole debate. Like I remember like they called our parents to the school, and they were like, no prom, no nothing. You guys are not gonna have any prom. Forget it. At the end of the day, guess who had the prom? Guess who had the prom? You're not serious. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think we were going to spend 6 years in this school and not have prom? Are you smoking? Are you okay? No. In fact, it got to the point that our classmates literally, everybody called their aunties, uncles, mom, dad, cousins, everybody. People were contributing money into a fixed account to sponsor this prom. I am not kidding. Like, to this day, I am grateful to my classmates and their parents, because like, if my classmates were not so serious about this prom happening, it actually wouldn't have happened. My school was dead set on it not happening. It was even to the point where my school placed our graduation on the day, because we had decided that prom was going to be on a particular day, and we were keeping it on the down low because we didn't want our school to know that we were going to have the prom. But somehow my school found out. I don't know how they did, but my school to this day I think there was a snitch, but I don't know. My school found out, and they moved our graduation to the day that was meant to be our prom. Do you see how stupid that is? Do you see the lengths that they went to make sure that we did not have that prom? Forget, like they were actually against us, like literally enemies of progress. But like, all in all, we ended up having the prom. We moved it to a different day. It was like a big event hall kind of place, and there was like food, drinks. We did like this like competition thing, like best smile, best hair, like, you know, all those things that typically happen at prom. We had like a prom queen. We ended up not inviting any boys, so it was like an all-girls prom, which sounds weird, but it was so fun. Like we had the whole like 360 camera, like they had like mixed drinks, like we had like goodies, like it was nice. I can't lie, it was really fun. And I remember that day being like one of the, not the best, but one of the best nights of my life, because it was actually such a fun experience. And I remember crying afterwards, and I didn't think I was gonna cry, but I ended up crying afterwards, and it was it was so shocking to me. Like I didn't even realize when I started crying. But yeah, prom was good, it was great. Exams, not so much, guys. I'm not going to tell you what I got in those external exams. I'm not going to say what I got, but let's just say that sometimes hard work doesn't pay. That's just life. Like sometimes you can work so hard and it doesn't pay. It doesn't. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna work hard, and sometimes you're not gonna get the results you want, and that's just the reality of life. And it may seem like a big thing, because I remember when I wrote the exam and I saw the result like a few months later, I was crushed. I was literally so crushed. Like I was like, why? Like my school wasn't bad. Don't doubt that. My school wasn't terrible. It just wasn't up to the standard that I typically hold myself to. Like it wasn't what I really wanted to get. So like, yeah, that's what made it a bit disappointing for me. But yeah, it was not bad overall. But yeah, when I saw it, I was not as happy as I thought I would be. But yeah, that was it. So we wrote the exams, and that was a thing. But yeah, that was basically SS3. Like I think out of all my years of high school, SS2 was the most eventful, but I think SS3 was the most enjoyable because we had the least classes. I got to know my classmates way more than I thought I would. Like I got to know them better than I did in junior school, and I realized that not all of them were crazy and mean. Like some of them were actually okay. Like the people I initially thought were not that great people were actually not that bad. So yeah, food for thoughts. But that's basically high school. That's basically what happened. I think all in all, I would rate my high school experience a solid 7 out of 10. Yeah, there were like good times and bad times. I know I shed a lot of tears in that school. I cannot even lie. I know I shed a lot of tears in that school. I know I got angry at a lot of teachers. Like I know that I did not want to come to school some days, but like all in all, it was very fun. So yeah, that's just high school. Okay guys, so it's time for the final part of this video. I know it's long, I know it is, but I think this is the part that is the most important. So if you don't care about my actual high school experience, like if you don't care about it, that's fine, cool. But the thing that I think that is very important is what I'm about to say right now, which is the rapid fire high school advice. So I'm going to say it very fast, and then we're going to get on with it. 1, Your teachers are still your teachers. That teacher that you absolutely love so much, that you literally would die for, that teacher that has literally made your high school experience amazing, is still a teacher. Meaning that if you do something wrong, they are still going to have the job of cautioning you. You should not feel bad at the fact that your favorite teacher gives you a punishment once in a while, or tells you to sit at the back of the class or something like that. They are still teachers at the end of the day, and you are not the only person they teach. Remember that. 2, keep your friends close. That's the end of the quote. I don't know who came up with that enemies closer rubbish, but keep your friends close, because keeping your enemies closer is not good for your mental health. I'm so sorry, it's not. Unless you're a villain who is trying to end somebody's life. Keep your friends close and end it at that. It's gonna be way better. It's gonna help you survive school way better. 3, senior secondary school or high school is when everybody gets sense. Like those people that you thought were literally the worst people on earth, give them some time to mature. They need to bake in the oven a little bit. So when you get to high school, try talking to those people again, right? Try talking to them after they've had a bit more experience in school. So if you talk to them in JS1 and you didn't really like them, try talking to them again in SS2 and see how you fare. If they are still the same kind of person, then their own growth is left for uni. So you have to wait for that. 4, you don't need to be popular to be known. And I have experienced this firsthand. You don't need to be one of the stereotypical cool girls who has money and goes to all these parties and hangs out with guys every weekend and does this and does that. You don't need to be one of the people. You can be known without being popular. I'm one of those people who was known not popular. Like literally everybody knew my name, but I wasn't a popular person. So you don't need to be popular to be known, and you shouldn't try so hard to be popular. Yeah. 5, I think I've already touched on this, but take advantage of school field trips, school events, things organized by your school, anything, like literally any events that your school is organizing. Take advantage of it. Don't think you're too cool to go for it. Like don't think you're too cool to go for it. I knew people who didn't come for graduation, my graduation. I knew people in my year who didn't come for my graduation, and they still wish they went to it to this day. I knew people who didn't go for certain events that my school was holding, and they wish that they did. So like I remember when I didn't even go for one of the events that my school was holding, and to this day I'm like, why didn't I go for it? Like I heard things about it, but I just didn't go, and I don't know why. So take advantage of it. That doesn't mean you have to go to everything, but like don't make up stupid reasons to not go for school field trips and school events. 6, don't bully because you were bullied. And this is very important. I've heard a lot of things of like seniors bullying their juniors because when they were juniors they were bullied by their seniors, and that is a very toxic mindset. You cannot be bullying the people after you because you were bullied by the people before you. They are not those people, and you are just continuing the cycle if you do. I never understood the concept of bullying people because you were bullied. It doesn't make any sense. 7, build a good rapport with your teachers. And what I mean by this is your teachers are the people that are going to recommend you to schools. They are the ones that are going to help you get into different competitions. They are the ones that are going to help you with your schoolwork. Build a good rapport with them. That doesn't mean you have to give them gifts every day, but if it's their birthday, tell them happy birthday. If you think their hair looks good, tell them their hair looks good. Even something as little as greeting. Just build a good rapport with your teachers, because it really helps. If you need extra credit, they are going to remember that good thing you did, and they are going to be more open to giving you extra credit. So yeah, build a good rapport with your teachers. 8, report but don't snitch. And what I mean by this is, if something happens that is morally wrong, if you see somebody doing something to somebody else that is morally wrong, you can report. You can. I'm telling you, you can. Heaven will not fall if you report. But that doesn't mean that every little thing that happens you need to say it. For example, the noisemakers thing that I talked about in the beginning. If you see somebody talking, right, and the teacher said nobody should talk, if the person has a semi-sensible reason for talking, don't be that person who goes and tells the teacher that this person was talking when this. Like it's just so weird. Or if we have like a classwork that is maybe not even that much of our grade, and somebody decides to look a bit, mind your business. I'm so sorry. Mind your business. Like actually mind your business. Like it's actually not that deep. Unless somebody is doing something to hurt emotionally or physically somebody else, or something that can hurt the general class, don't be a snitch. But report if you need to. Don't be afraid to report if you need to. 9, start group projects early. I've heard of so many situations where you guys are given a group project and the deadline is like maybe a week from now, and you guys get started like the day before. It doesn't help. It actually does not help, especially if it's something like a PowerPoint presentation that needs to be done, or something where you guys require research. It does not make sense to start the day before or 2 days before. Get a head start and divide the work equally. If somebody doesn't do their part, let the teacher know, so that person can get the score that they deserve, because it doesn't make sense for everybody to do work and then one person decides to be a leech and then they get the same score as everybody else. 10. If you are in high school and you have a younger sibling in the same school who is in a lower class than you, protect them. I'm serious, protect them. Things happen, guys. Like, people in school are crazy. And this is your sibling. You're going to have to come back home to this person. Don't be embarrassed for people to know that they are your sibling. They are your sibling. Eventually, somebody's going to read the register and find out that they're your sibling. Don't try and pretend that they're not. Protect them if you can. Balance sleep and school. Being in high school can literally mess up your sleep schedule so much. Like, you need to learn how to balance it. It doesn't make sense to stay awake to 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning to study for an exam that is probably not going to have that much of an impact in your general life. Obviously, you need to put in your best and everything, but if you start early, then you're going to be able to finish early and you're going to be able to do all the work you need to do. It doesn't make sense to be staying awake to 3 or 4 a.m., not eating breakfast, losing sleep, all because you want to pass that one exam. 12. Have a benchmark grade, and what I mean by this is have a grade or a percentage or something that you will never allow yourself to go below. For me, that benchmark grade I think was a B. It was a B. Yeah, it was a B because my school didn't really do B minuses and stuff like that. And when I say that, I'm talking about general grade, like your overall grade at the end of the year. So if that comes in like a percentage or a grade, it doesn't matter. My school did percentages and grade, but like I did promise myself that I did not want to go below a B for my general grade, and I never did. So I'm saying this to you guys: benchmark grade. Don't let yourself go below a certain grade, because once you do, your standards begin to fall, and they fall quickly. So if you catch yourself slipping, catch yourself. 13, and second to the last one, learn from the past year's mistake. If a particular year did something stupid that made the school to take a drastic action, you and your year should use your sense to not make the same mistake. Don't make the teachers do the same thing that they did to you. Don't let them assume that you're the same as the others said. Prove to them that they are wrong so that you can get more liberties. 14, eat breakfast. Like, it is so important. I don't know why people don't eat breakfast in high school. Like, they just stop. Eat breakfast, because I can tell you, once you get to school, if you have a morning math class and you didn't eat breakfast, you are going to literally die. You are. Because you're not going to want to stay for the class, and you're going to end up doing one or two things: sleeping during the class or skipping, and you don't want to do that. I know I said that was the last, but this is the final thing. Enjoy it. Like, high school can be annoying, but it can also be very fun. So like, you guys are in that adolescent like age where like everything is interesting and there's a lot going on, so enjoy it. Like, plus things get terrible in college, at least that's what I've heard. I'm about to enter, so I'm scared, but as somebody who has come out of high school, enjoy it. You're not going to get those years back, so don't let like school or like fear of what is going to happen stop you from doing something you really like. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I am so happy that I got to talk about this, because I did not think I was going to end up making this video, because as much as I love my school can also be weird. So I'm scared that somebody's going to see this video and call me out on something I said. But yeah, I am really happy to have been able to talk to you guys about my high school experience and give you guys a little nugget of advice. I hope you guys can implement it in your own high school experience or give it to somebody else who needs it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.